Okay, welcome everyone to Livingston Parish, Louisiana at the Chamber Council room here, and this is the ARBC Drainage and Water Conservation District here today, Tuesday, February 10th at 10 a.m. Getting started with our meeting, I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Paul Sawyer, can you lead us in the pledge? All right, thank you, Paul. Ms. Tony, can you give us a roll call, please?
Mr. Bailey? Here. Mr. Byrd? Absent. Mr. Clark?
Present.
Mr. Quitmall? Mr. Delat? Here. Dufran? Yeah. Ms. Polito? Mr. Harris? Here. Mr. Ray? Mr. Smith? Mr. Lazina? Here. Mr. Knight? Mr. Kluot? We have a quorum. Thank y'all.
Commissioners, if you hadn't already done it, you put your batteries in your mics. There, in the battery goes in the back. If you need any help, ask Mr. Knight. And a little housekeeping, please silence your phones. All right, if we have any public comments, we encourage them, and if you can register with our secretary, there'll be a time at the end of our meeting to hear public comments. So, referring to our agenda, our next item is approval of the minutes. It's going to be the minutes from the regular meeting on January 13th, 2026. We have a motion. Any public comments on our minutes? Hearing none. Okay, motion passes. Okay, commissioners, next item is our financial statements. Everybody, in your packets, you've had a chance to take a look at your financial statements, and any comments? No. Okay. Okay, so I understand our executive secretary has informed us that our financial statements are for next month. So that explains why you weren't able to
That's
see
why they're
that.
not in your packet.
Yep.
Yep.
So there's no action necessary at this time in regards to our financial statements. We'll pick that up on our next meeting. Okay, our next item on our agenda is a report from our ARBC Chief Advisor, Mr. Paul Sawyer. Paul?
Good morning, Commissioners. So I think the top issue for us today is the Upper Amite restoration project. That project, we have completed our due diligence. It's under review right now at the State Office of Facility Planning and Control. They're reviewing it to ensure that everything that we've done is meets their requirements. Once we get their approval, then we can move quickly towards closing. I'll defer to Mr. Bankson for any additional content on that, but we have also been in touch with the Division of Administration, the Commissioner of Administration, to express how urgent this is. Naturally, everybody believes that their capital outlay project is the most important. We're no different, and so we've communicated that to them. Later this month, on February 23rd, I'll meet with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. They are the agency that will administer our our $2 million that was secured for us through Congresswoman Letlow. The scope of the project work is for upper Amite restoration, which could include parts of our St. Helena property that we're looking at. I think the focus for them will be Livingston Parish. And so I think it's important to mention that here, that we will likely be looking at upper Amite restoration in Livingston Parish, and then hope to expand that to include our efforts in St. Helena Parish. And of course, whatever we do in Livingston Parish, we will be working with Commissioner Parish President Delott on what's the best approach for any work that's done in Livingston Parish. I mentioned capital outlay. So with respect to the Upper Amite project, that project is under review by Facility Planning and Control. Just want to remind commissioners that we have $2 million cash in capital outlay. We have $2 million in a cash line of credit. And then we confirmed with legislative appropriations committees as well as Division of Administration that we are in line and will likely be included in the governor's capital outlay budget for another $2 million in this upcoming session. Why 222? That's just the best measured approach that we can take right now. We believe that once we get through this transaction on the St. Helena property, then the demand for our work in the Upper Amite will take off. And so until that happens, we won't know exactly what the entire demand is for the Upper Amite. So we're positioning ourselves to take advantage of as many resources as we have available in case this thing takes off, which we expect it to do. So we didn't want to ask for $10 million or $20 million because we don't know yet what the capacity is for us to consume that. So 222, that's just a measured approach for us to manage how we proceed. And if in the next 30 to 60 days we believe capacity is going to increase, then we can adjust if necessary in the legislative process. Just real quickly on the Comite River Diversion Canal, the overarching story remains the same. All the contracts from the Corps of Engineers have been let. Much of the utility work that had been stalling out the project has been managed, and now the Corps of Engineers is beginning in earnest to complete the project. So one of the sticking points was an area called Channel Segment Number 1. That's the area if you're driving up Scenic Highway, north or south, towards the east. That channel is being constructed or is nearly constructed. To the west, the project requires additional property acquisition at the outfall where the canal is going to flow into the river. The Corps and DOTD had re-engineered or had previously re-engineered the outfall and determined that there needed to be more property acquisition and more engineering to manage that outfall. Originally, they discovered that had they left it alone, it would have contributed to significant scour. And so those properties are underway, but that Brooks Lake feature is not going to require a lot of construction. This is an outfall. The construction, the minimal amount of construction that's going to happen there is not going to affect the timeline of the project. The biggest tents in the pole for the project are the diversion structure where the Comite River enters into the canal, as well as the outfalls of the three bayous that flow into the canal, the three bayous that flow from Zachary, Louisiana into Baker, Louisiana, and clearing and snagging of those three bayous is also underway. So, and that's important not because clearing and snagging per se, but clearing and snagging was one of the last things that the Corps wanted to do on this project before closing out. So the fact that they're looking at, they're mobilizing for clearing and snagging on Baton Rouge Bayou, Cypress Bayou, and Whites Bayou is important. It's an important signal. Because the utility relocation of the interstate gas pipeline owned by Florida Gas, because that had been caused a 3 to 4 year delay, that has basically been managed. And so excavation will continue in the channel, and construction of a bridge on Highway 19, which connects Zachary, Louisiana to Baker, Louisiana. That's about 20% complete. And so, progress is moving or advancing. I would just say that the strict Corps of Engineers construction timeline is that their estimate is approximately mid to late 2028. I think to complete the project. I think experience would tell us that 2029, second quarter of 2029 is more realistic. Just also reminding commissioners of that other Corps of Engineers project in East Baton Rouge Parish, $255 million Five Bayous project. The environmental and historic preservation and other environmental requirements are still underway in the two bayous in the central area. The bayous in the southern area, each of those three bayous, Bayou Fountain, Wards Creek, and Jones Creek, half of those channels have been completed. The Corps of Engineers is beginning the second halves of those channels, which require a little bit of mitigation to be satisfied before they can continue. And so the Corps of Engineers in East Baton Rouge Parish are exploring mitigation options. I couldn't begin to tell you, frankly, when we expect that project to be done. There's just a lot of factors that continue to emerge, but at least in the southern part of the parish, on those three bayous, there has been significant clearing and snagging that's been done that has improved drainage in those three bayous. At the last meeting, I mentioned that we intend to reconvene with the Corps of Engineers and begin a quarterly meeting with them so that we could talk about not just Amite River Basin Commission work and ongoing projects, but also our respective parishes. Anybody in this commission, whether as the body or independently, who's got business before the Corps of Engineers, we plan to have quarterly meetings. The Corps had proposed March 2nd, and we're awaiting confirmation for that meeting. Just for the Commission's awareness, we've conducted outreach in the last 30 days. We presented to the Senator Valerie Hodges Comite River Diversion Canal and Amite River Basin Task Force. We presented on the master plan. We met with Congresswoman Letlow's staff, both in Baton Rouge as well as in D.C., to talk further about scope and timelines on the NRCS project. We have met with stakeholders, and I'll speak to this a little bit more. We've met with various stakeholders on legislation affecting the Amite River Basin Commission and our activities. I'll get to that in a little bit. And we've done a number of meetings and speeches where we are talking about not just the master plan, but ongoing efforts through our LWI projects, through our Upper Amite projects, as well as other actions that we're taking and that we propose to take. And Garvin is going to elaborate on those in a little bit. And we will continue more outreach in the month of February and early March with various groups who've asked us to speak so that we can, again, talk about not just master planning efforts, but also our collective efforts on project development and delivery. So I had mentioned that we had been visiting with stakeholders on legislation affecting the Amite River Basin Commission and our actions. I think it's because legislators are reviewing are considering legislation and have not yet finalized it, I believe it's premature to go into a lot of detail of what they're developing, not us, what they're developing. But I can answer questions about what they're looking at. Generally speaking, they're looking at ways to create funding mechanisms and funding opportunities for Amite River Basin in particular, and then later on other watersheds in general. But it's another avenue for flood risk reduction to occur here first. And I'll remind folks that we're commemorating the 10th anniversary of both the March 2016 flood, which flooded this parish and other parishes in the Amite River Basin, as well as the historic 2016 flood, which flooded much of Louisiana, but especially the Amite River Basin. So in any case, as their ideas take shape, we are trying to help inform them on and advise them on just how this basin works, what projects that we're looking at, and what the priorities are in terms of project delivery and development. And we believe that that's informing their approaches towards how they can best respond to our watershed in particular and other watersheds in the state in general. Just lastly, I'll mention that Mr. Garvin Pittman is going to give you an update on the Region 9 projects, as well as to explain to y'all a pretty exciting proposal that we have that we've talked about before, but we think it's ready for consideration by the board. I don't think we have any motions scheduled today, but this is an important moment to start articulating other actions that we're going to take to reduce flood risk and protect people in the Amite River Basin. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Commissioners, Commissioner Quitmore.
Yeah, Paul, thank you for that report. What I would like to see this commission do, and hopefully you head up, is I think we need to look at some smaller projects, and I'll take the Port Vincent Amite River Bridge. It's got a ton of debris stuck on it, and because those are bordered by two different parishes, that's not really in, even though we've cleaned it before, and I know Livingston's probably done it before, and other bridges. I would like the Amite River to conceptually develop some smaller projects. In case funding comes available, we will be ready to jump on those and submit those projects. It could be anywhere from $500,000 to $2.5 million in that range, as well as submitting some maintenance grants depending on our budget and match. I think it would be a great opportunity for this commission to get into some maintenance of the Amite River and cleaning those bridges to increase water flow and reduce flood risk. That'd be my comment. Thanks.
Absolutely. Commissioner Quitmore, if any of these efforts, these legislative efforts that Capital Region delegation members are looking at, if they're successful, it's going to position us to do that kind of activity.
Okay, Commissioner Kluwat.
Yeah, Paul, thanks for the report. You said your first quarterly meeting with the Corps of Engineers is when?
They proposed, and we accepted March 2nd, but we haven't received confirmation yet. So we're waiting for them to confirm.
And that's going to be down at their house?
That would be in New Orleans, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Any more comments? I just had two things. The Upper Amite River land acquisition, purchasing these abandoned sand and gravel pits. This one particular site is really important because it's pivotal. You know, we submitted it as a pilot, like as a demonstration, and we have to demonstrate that we are we have the capacity and capabilities to do this. The importance of doing this is it helps to, at minimum, sustain the efforts that we're doing on the lower end for channel restoration. because if we don't stabilize the upper part of the Amite River, whatever we do downstream is not going to make a difference. We're going to be in the business of maintenance, and I'm talking like dredging and the whole process, and it's long. So it's really, really important. And that was it. Yeah, I think we're doing good, and we're closing in on it. And thank you for all your efforts and for us as a team.
Yes, sir. Thank
More questions? Thank you, Paul. Before we move on, I would like to welcome and recognize a distinguished guest here at the Amite River Basin Commission meeting today, and that is State Representative Mr. Roger Wilder. He represents District 17. Mr. Roger, I'm sorry, just a little dyslexia kicking in here, 71. But, no, my dyslexia. Mr. Roger, would you like to come up and put in a couple little words? I mean, yes, please. Hit your mic.
All right, there we go. It's a little different than the Capitol. I'm here because Parish President informed me we had a meeting, as he does all the time, and if I can make them, I make them. I'm listening to Mr. Sawyer explain everything. I'm sitting back there just taking notes on how we can help at a state level, because the funding is all piecemeal. You got to pull it from everywhere, and I appreciated the 2-2-2 approach, because it's a lot easier to go and ask for dimes and nickels than it is to ask for 20s and 50s. So I'm just here to learn and do what I can do to be a part of the process progress. So thank you for the acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. All right, referring back to our agenda, our next item is a report from our ARBC Chief Legal Counsel, Mr. Larry Bankston. Larry?
Thank you, Mr. President. A few items in reference to the purchase of the property. As you are aware, this is funded by capital outlay money, and they have a specific process in which they review of course, our title. They also review the environmental, and they also review the appraisal aspect. All of that has been submitted now. The initial due diligence period resulted in us not having all those items available initially. We executed an additional extension of time, and finally we had to do one additional extension of time in order for us to keep that due diligence period, and we would not be obligated to make any payments. This is all contingent upon the Division of Administration approving the environmental, improving the title, and improving the appraisal aspect. So that's all been submitted. Our extension that has been granted and signed off by the sellers is through February the 28th. So we still have some period of time. As we were sitting here, Mr. Clark provided me some information in which the state has asked for some additional representation from the board concerning our ability to pay the aspects that are not covered. There is a requirement of 20%. We initially, when we made this application for this, as I recall, and maybe Tony can confirm, we initially did a resolution saying that we had the funds available. That was some time ago when we initially started. It seems they want something a little bit more specific, and the language that they had, I think it may be worthwhile, since we're here today, to consider adding an item to the agenda to represent that the board has the sufficient funds to make the contribution as required under statute, as well as any additional expenses that may be required, and direct that to and I think the language that they said was, that they, I think we'd already provided something, concurrence that the real estate closing will need to be committed to all costs above available state funds in the form of a board resolution. The resolution needs to state that the Amite River Basin Commission will cover all costs above available state funds and does not require P5 funding authorization. So I would suggest the commission consider adding an item to the agenda for that particular purpose to be considered today.
Okay. Recommendation is to add an agenda item to cover the facility planning and controls feedback that we have in order to, where we don't lose time, considering our deadline for closing is February 28th.
Not closing, our due diligence,
Due diligence
is over on the 28th.
Yeah, due diligence is over on the 28th. So all I need is a motion to add this to the agenda. Got a motion by Commissioner Dufresne and second by Commissioner Harris. Any opposition to this motion and adding this to the agenda?
Just got a question. To be added under new business, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So this will be added under new business, Ms. Tony. All right, thank you. What
That's
else,
all I
Larry?
have. That's all I have.
Like the note that we just received, it says above what we would be required to spend. I don't think we're going above. And I think perhaps that what we've already done may cover this, but to err on the side of caution, to make sure our bases are, we would hate some technical issue like this to be a deal kill. All right, thank you, commissioners. Let's refer back to our agenda, and we're moving right along to O business. That's number 9. And under old business is our Amite River Basin Commission contractor. That is the Water Institute. And we're going to get a report from Representative Mr. Garvin Pittman on the Louisiana Watershed Initiative, Region 9, updates and discussion. Garvin.
Thank you, President Clark. Pleasure to be here today, give you a report. First, one of the primary responsibilities that I have for y'all is to be the watershed coordinator. We did have one Louisiana Watershed Initiative watershed coordinator call at the end of last month on the 27th. Here you can see what was primarily discussed. The big news coming out of that is that OCD is having a minor rearrangement of staff, and we will have some new contacts to be working with. We were also able to give regional highlights, and it was a pleasure to be able to give some of the great highlights that this region has. Here you see project implementation update. This is just the top 3 movers from last month in terms of percent that was billed to OCD. In the back of your packet, or in your packet, is the full list of projects along with what that burn rate is. And again, this is only what was billed to OCD last month. It does not really account for the true amount of work that has been done. The chief advisor and myself, and also with President Clark, have been working for the last couple months to develop a master plan implementation strategy other than major construction projects. What can this commission do to implement the master plan to help its constituents reduce costs, reduce flood risk, and live better lives? The master plan has 9 different goals listed in it, and working with the chief advisor, we determined that 4 of those goals listed here are goals that we can work on right away. The first is encourage participation and support ARBC communities in the CRS program. Goal number 6 is facilitate capacity building for the local community of practice public. Goal number 7 is to provide tools and data sets to support emergency preparedness. And goal number 8 is funding. In addition to the master plan, there were 7 ideas expressed by the Office of Community Development to Region 9 and to all regions about implementation or use of regional capacity building grants going forward. After careful review of those, we determined that there were 2 of them that we could start to implement right away. Number 4, and very importantly, the development of real-time forecasting and flood warning system. As a little bit of an aside, there are people in the room who are better at the CRS program than I am, but it's my understanding that you can get up to 395 CRS points if you have a system like this in place and claim those points properly. And it only takes 500 points to move up from one category to the next. So you can see that this would be a huge benefit to your constituents in terms of the money savings that they can get in their on their flood insurance. The last one is item 6, which is redundant with one of the ARBC master plan goals, and that is actions to increase model accessibility for local users. All right. Just pause there if you have any questions. I'll pause between each one and let you ask questions if you wish.
Any questions? Okay, so this community rating system is a exceptional program. I know Miss Cindy O'Neill was very instrumental back in the time and was adamant about pushing this forward, and if you don't get it, you need to get it. And this is an opportunity where a lot of the parishes that are in Region 9 are doing wonderful things, doing great things that they could get credit for, but they may not be getting credit for. So what is being presented today is a program that you would help develop for Region 9 that could bring these, identify the communities, who they are, where they are, and help bring them up to speed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And just like we're talking about the early flood warning system and forecasting, just by doing that alone, it's 395 points.
It's up to that number, yes, sir.
Okay, well, I mean, I've seen 5 points here, 5 points there, but 395, and just to be able to have a tool that forecasts flood warnings is, I think that's important for every parish. Any questions?
I do.
Commissioner Quimo?
Explain to me what you consider forecasting.
We'll be getting to that, but we have a system at the Water Institute that is similar to early flows, and you've seen it from the City of Central that CSRS runs. It's not quite as, microscopically detailed as early flows is. It's much broader. It's currently in use by GOSEP for coastal areas of Louisiana, essentially in the Amite River Basin. That would be areas south of I-12. It's operational by GOSEP only during named storms. It predicts with great accuracy what, where, and when storm surge will be and flooding will be on any given road. Whereas NOAA, I can give you an example. I have a small property in Florida, and NOAA was saying that when Milton hit, it was going to see 12-foot storm surge. NOAA just said a blanket 12-foot storm surge. I contacted our group that does this. They told me it would be anywhere from 6.5 feet to 7 feet, and they were accurate exactly. It was exactly within 6.5 feet and 7 feet, and that was 4 days before the storm. So this system is currently operational in the coastal areas. It is not currently operational north of I-12, but this proposal, you'll see, is to make it operational within the Amite River Basin north of I-12 as well.
So as a parish, how would we get those points? Would we adopt that system and then distribute that information to our residents? What qualifies for the points? How? I think a good presentation on, because it is a lot of points, as our chairman was identifying, is how individually each parish can. And look, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what I'm asking you to do is do some further research on how a parish can implement to secure these 395 points.
That's also in this proposal.
Okay.
So you still have half of a presentation to go?
Yes.
Okay. I think some of the answers to the questions, which are excellent questions, I think he's going to answer those.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm jumping the gun. Sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner Quimo.
Go ahead, Garvin. Only thing I had to say is, you said storm surge. That sounds to me like coastal.
Yes.
We're riverine, a lot, predominantly.
That's correct. Currently, the only part that's operational is the coastal and not the riverine. This proposal is to make it operational for riverine as well.
Okay. Please continue.
Okay, the first item is ARBC goal number 2. That's encourage participation in the CRS program. What we would do is recommend a 2-phase program in which the Water Institute or somebody of your choosing would come in and work with the different communities to summarize the recommendations from the master plan, conduct an assessment across the entire basin to better understand the intersection of where additional points may be pursued. That is, what do those communities have the appetite for? What do they have the budget for? What are they willing to do? And then identify CRS points that are currently sitting around unclaimed that can be claimed for little or no cost. Phase 2 is getting back to what Commissioner Quintmaw was talking about, and that is to work with different communities to figure out exactly how that they can implement the CRS program within their communities, meet with them, find out what their goals are, find out what their appetite is, and to actually work with whatever those available communities are. And we assumed the budget numbers that you're going to see in a moment assume that there will be 5 communities that are willing to participate. If there are more communities, then that budget would go up. If there are less, budget would go down. But this is where we would be addressing Commissioner Quintmaw's question. Here you see the budget for that. Phase 1 would be in the neighborhood of $50,000. Phase 2 would be in the neighborhood of $170,000. And that would be over the course of about a year. Okay, we can stop there. And if you have any questions?
Any questions?
Okay, let's just plow through them. Okay, we can do
Yep.
it.
Go ahead.
Okay, ARBC goal number 6, facilitate capacity building. Is our understanding that not all the communities within the Amite River Basin are really all that skilled at project management and or grant management. However, the Water Institute is very skilled at project management and grant management. I personally run a project management mentorship program, and we provide, sometimes for our clients, we provide grant management and project management training. We're proposing to do a 2-part grant and project management training program for any community that's willing to participate. And the budget, we would tailor that. Basically, we would work with you and with the chief advisor to determine, what that would look like. But we're estimating 2 4-hour sessions, 4 to 8 hour sessions, in person preferably, and that would be for around $20,000. We're working on one right now for the United Home and Nation down in ARBC goal number 7 and OCD idea number 4. Here you see what we were talking about earlier, flood ID. The system, what we mentioned, flood ID coastal, is generally south of I-12. It's for tidally influenced areas. Currently operational by GOSEP only for named storms. What we would do is we would make this operational for you, up to 25 licenses for a course of a year, and it would be simulated 4 times daily. So 4 times a day, you could get alerts as to where potential flooding might occur. And we would also include in that initial training for those 25 licensees. The larger effort here is to operationalize flood ID inland. This is generally areas north of I-12. Let me check that. That later. North of I-12. What we would do is take 18 months to compare side by side with early flows in Central, all the different storms that hit there. And the 18 months is really so we have a representative number of storms so that we and you could be with confidence say that this system works as well or similar to early flows, because we understand that the city of Central finds that to be a highly valuable tool. And again, just to follow up, that system is very, very detail oriented just within the city of Central. This system would not be quite as detailed, but it would give you information on all major roads and highways and neighborhoods. And we do have a demonstration that can be available prior to y'all making a decision. Both of these, after initial setup, would require an annual license. But currently, GoSep, since GoSep is basically standing this up and providing the stand-up funds, it would be a minimal cost to the ARBC. That would be $68,000 per year for both areas, and you would get that back many times over flood insurance premium. Okay, ARBC goal number 8, funding. The Water Institute is very good at getting funding for our clients. We recently got $56 million for a client down in Houma. We recently got $5.5 million for an Air Force base in Florida. Sometimes we are the grantee, sometimes we do the grant half, and the client is the grantee. What we are proposing to do is give you full access to our system, our grant staff, and that would include tracking what grants might be available and helping you through the grant application process. That grant that we did for down in Houma cost about $100,000 to complete that grant process, but we were able to find incrementally funds such that that client never had to have any money out of pocket. So we're really good at finding funds for things like that. We just need to commit to it, and we need your commitment that it's something you're willing to do. Now, that doesn't mean that we can always find funds to do the grant application. There may be times when it does have to come out of pocket. But what we're proposing is to give you our full attention there. And at the moment, there's no way to put a price on what this might cost because we don't know how many grants we're going to go after and what type of grants. Grants will typically take between $10,000 and $100,000 for the application.
Quick question.
Commissioner Cluett?
Yeah, Garvin, on your grants, do y'all generally go with fee or do you do percentage or what's?
We are almost always time and materials or fixed unit rates according to our rate sheet that we have negotiated with you and or with whomever.
You finished, Gordon, or you got some more?
I'm sorry?
You got some more?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And lastly, OCD idea number 6 is actions to increase model accessibility for local users. The Louisiana Watershed Initiative is currently storing all of their models, their huge models that they built on a system called LWI Endemic that is hosted by the Water Institute. The Amite River Basin Commission has models going back many years, and there are people in this room who created some wonderful models for you. Most of them are sitting either on a consultant's hard drive and or in a file cabinet in the Amite River Basin Commission office. What we are proposing is to store those models attached to or in a subfolder of what LWI is already paying for so that they can be made public. The Amazon Web Service is providing storage for free because it is a publicly available it's a public service. So we believe that they will continue to do that for at least the next few years. What we would do then is you have these models, they're sitting there, a parish, a town, whomever could have their consultant check these models out, run these models for a neighborhood or a project that you might be doing, and then develop a protocol for them to update that model and turn it back in, and then we would perform quality control on that and put it back out for the public use. What this will do is 2 things. It gets the models, your consultants and your parishes and your communities will be able to use these models, but we'll also keep these models from becoming stale as projects are implemented. And here you see the cost for that. There would also be well, the annual licensing cost for that would be about $5,000. And that's really just licensing. If there's any sort of work that you need us to do, that would be done on a fixed unit rate. That's what we have, and I really appreciate the chief advisor and the president for helping to prioritize these and to vet these for presentation to you today.
Any questions, Paul?
Commissioners, I just wanted to add a little additional content. So there's no action item before you today. We have talked about this conceptually for 2 meetings now, and so this is really to update you on where we think we are with this, what I would characterize as non-structural flood risk reduction. So this is not projects, this is all of the other actions. Remember, our master plan proposes projects and proposes actions. And so we believe, first of all, we think that this is ripe enough to present to you and to discuss with you. If an action is required, we'll bring it up at the next meeting. There is some diligence that we need to work through in terms of payments and just the logistics of making these things happen with OCD as well as CPRA. I think it's important for commissioners to know that there's no proposal to request new money. We are suggesting that we have residual funds that need to be put to good use. I remind the commission as well as anyone watching these proceedings that we have 4 major projects within the Amite River Basin, 4 major construction projects, $100 million. Within that are included, along with that, within Region 9, so within the Amite River Basin Commission, that $100 million plus approximately, $250 million, or more than that actually, is also underway in project development in Region 9 LWI projects. So in terms of construction, there's a lot of activity that I would say is on the edge of becoming dirt turning and excavating project work. That's the $368 million, which includes Region 9 projects as well as our big 4 transformational projects. That aside, it's important for folks in the Amite River Basin to know that there are other very important, equally important measures and steps that we can take to reduce flood risk, and we have the resources to do that. And so this presentation is to share with you the ideas of using existing funds as well as taking actions that are presented in our master plan and doing them in an affordable and effective way. And if the commission agrees with all of this, and again, we don't have a request for action for the commission today, but if the commission agrees with this, this is not anything we have to wait around on. These are actions that we can control. Not like we have to wait for a permit. It's not like we have to wait for somebody else to control our destination. We can take these actions very quickly. So this is the big idea, and we expect that we will bring this back for action items at the next meeting. But it's important to really articulate what we have an opportunity to do here now. The benefits that it will have to the citizens, the homeowners, the communities in the Amite River Basin, and that we can do this pretty quickly. I think that's it.
Quick question.
Commissioner Kluwat, please.
Yeah, for Garvin and Paul, and referencing back to where President Quintmore was going earlier with in your slide, develop a real-time forecasting and flood warning system. Okay, that's especially important. Yeah, I think the 2 major things that's helped the area, that has hurt the area that I'm from, is basically a little bit of lack of forecasting of flood stages, where they were going to be reached in 2 days, 3 days, whatever. Even though, and we've been politically, Paul, you've been in it for 3 decades, and Garvin, you also, some of you guys, we've been trying to impress upon people all over the United States and in Washington, D.C. for sure that even though we're not on the coast, we are a coastal parish. Everything that happens in this Amite River Basin based on a storm, back to Allison even, that it's not the, everybody survives the storm. It's the rainwater after us that's coming down and get us. So, I'm especially interested in forecast for the flood stages. We all know where our elevations of whatever structure we got available to us. We knew it. We've always known it. It's just the forecasting. Whether we're telling people you need to pick up and get out, or you need to sandbag. 2016 flood was a perfect example. Anyway, thank you, sir.
Commissioner Lindsay?
Yeah, thanks. Garvin, I know this isn't your exact swim lane on these things, but as far as that, just some comments so that we have a clear idea for any action items in the future. There's a big, I guess, difference, and you know where I am, between develop, implement, operationalize sort of these programs. So when we do that, I know you mentioned the 18 months worth on a sort of that gut check, that background, but there's a difference between develop, kind of thing. So I think for the commissioner's sake, when we move these things forward, just a little more transparency on what's available now currently versus what would have to be, of some sort of long-standing model development sort of program. So.
What I would propose is that we set up a session, a virtual session, or maybe in person, but a virtual session sometime after Mardi Gras, for whomever on this commission or your emergency preparedness folks to jump on a call or attend a meeting with our folks who do this. They can go through it in more detail and answer whatever questions, and you can see the dashboards and you can see how it.
Commissioner Quintmore?
So on what I was bringing up on the forecasting, and because there is some forecasting stuff out there and there's a lot of it and it's a lot divided. So we're developing our own forecasting in Ascension, like Central's doing. We actually have a CEA with LSU and their AI and technology department to develop AI in the forecasting of rain gauges, flood stages, and so a lot of that. The intent is, once Ascension gets a working model, is for LSU to expand it from a regional. So there is something in the works of all that happening, and so I don't know how that fits into everything, because before, everybody has gauges, right? Livingston has some gauges, and then USGS has the gauges, then NOAA has the gauges, and EBR has gauges, and everybody has all these gauges, right? And when the LWI initiated their gauge implementation, tried to emphasize the importance of connecting that on a computer network system and comms, so that we would have a statewide forecasting, at least a preliminary model. That did not happen. What we did is we installed a bunch of gauges, and then we said, okay, here, we're going to turn them over to the parishes, and they're going to have to maintain them for these. Too expensive, to be honest, for people in smaller parishes to even do. And so we failed at that opportunity to do that. So I'm very curious to see how we talk about that, because that looks to be the bulk item on here, at least the largest item on here. And so I need some more transparency and clarity on how, because I'm sure I'm not the only one in Ascension. I'm sure there's other parishes that are developing their own forecasting and things like that. So I know this is happening in a lot of different areas, and it's happening in a lot of division, and it's not all coming together. And so I would need some more clarity on. I'm just basically looking at my ROI. I want to see what I'm getting back from doing all these things, because I'm a big proponent of action on the ground, projects on the ground, and I tend to think we study a lot of stuff, and we study and we study and we study and we study. So I just need some clarity on some ROI, and I'll get with you later and then get with my colleagues on maybe refining this something to where we understand what that ROI is.
To answer part of your point, you talked about different communities maybe doing their own. This system, if it's enacted, could be used as the boundary conditions for any local system, which would make that local system a lot easier and cheaper. But yeah, what we probably should do, Commissioner Quintmall, is to get you in touch with Hugh Roberts at the Water Institute, and you can discuss those with him and our potential partners as well.
Yeah, it's so let's just say that we develop our system, Central has their system, right, and all these, and so how does we get all these systems to come together under ARBC's platform so that then that can be put on there? And of course, we're in development, right, especially on the AI component as we get this more information, and so it's going to be interesting how we bring all these things together to put it, because we're paying for it in separate buckets, right? And so it's going to be a little tricky there and requiring a lot of IGAs and CEAs to bring this fruition, which ultimately is what I wish would have happened in the LWI proposal on doing that. So we'll see how we get there, but we'll have those discussions offline. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Quintmall. Commissioner Bailey, comments?
So Garvin, what you're proposing is to enhance what the local communities already have in place, right?
Right.
What you're proposing is to enhance what the local communities already have in place, and to show that what they have in place now need to be upgraded to meet a certain standard that we, the board, will approve.
Are you talking about the flood ID or in general?
Yes, in general and the flood ID.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. Basically, we're just talking about enhancing what you already have.
Okay, and you will encourage their participation, because that way they will see their deficiencies in the areas that they do have deficiency and acknowledge it, and then jump on board to support.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
So we're not going to reinvent the wheel here, right?
No.
And what we're talking about is a proposal, right? Okay. But we could have further discussion, and I really appreciate our discussion. I appreciate our comments, and that's why we're a collective and a team, and that's value in that. CPRA, you're right. Producing, why produce something that's already produced? And like you say, Clint, you're going down that road right now. And I can see this ended up like these models that are out there that's not even talking to each other, and nobody knows who to get and where and what and where's it stored. So we can look at that again with this in mind and come up with something better, because I do think the intent, the good intent and the benefit is there. Maybe refine it, and with us together as one, I think we can get something that could probably be a model for the state of Louisiana. Any other comments? Commissioner Rayford?
I guess my comment, and I agree wholeheartedly about the position, we have a basin, and there's a reason, and there's a bunch of parishes within that basin. But everything that happens down from the coast, at some point impacts what happens to us in the rivers and everything else we're having to deal with. It would make sense to me to have a system to be able to look at the entire basin, so people can really see what that impact's going to be on any type of an event. And we would have that capability to have the data over the period of time to be able to look at that information and to be able to try to put more notice to the public, because that's the biggest thing I hear. Nobody told me about it, and I think those are things we can improve on. I mean, certainly everything costs money, but, as a commission, I just look at that as trying to do it as a group. I know we have our stuff that we're locating. I've had to cut back on some of that. I'm waiting on Central, and we also dealing with Zachary, dealing with the water gauges and stuff. But I mean, I think this would be a good opportunity to put together a plan to address that as a whole, because no matter what happens in this basin area, it impacts everybody. It does. That's a fact.
Commissioner Delight.
Garvin, to obtain this data, is hardware having to be installed out in the field?
To my understanding, no. Now, I can't promise you that there won't be some sort of hole somewhere that they find, but for right now, my understanding is no.
So that's what happens with a lot of the models, is the hardware that has to be installed out in the field to maintain that, particularly when there's storms and trash and garbage and all those things that get involved. And there's actually Denham Springs STEM class is actually having a patent on this, and they've been wrote in the state of Louisiana patent office. We have parish government has been sponsoring them, and they are in the process of putting some things out, working with engineer groups and different, I think of June of this year, doing the same, similar to the same thing you are. So that's what we all say, and everybody's got a different one, a different hardware group, or whatever it is to get our data, and we do need to combine it together. I'm not sold on your presentation yet. I'm kind of like Clint. I want to see how it works with what I got. But I do think this is a subject that's worth talking about and moving forward on it. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Ferlito.
I just had a quick question, Garvin. The model, would that belong to the Water Institute, or it would belong to the Amite River? Basically.
You put me on the spot.
Oh, sorry. I was just curious.
To be honest with you, I think that it is not a model. It's a system, and it would belong at the Water Institute.
Like computer software.
It's, yeah. And
So-
you would pay an annual license agreement for us to run it for you.
I see. Okay.
Commissioner Kluwat.
Quick question
Go ahead.
for my ignorance. What is state climatologist Jay Grimes, and then what are they involved in any of these?
Just with rainfall data and forecasting intensity, but not necessarily inundation, area of coverage, and depth of coverage.
And for the common public, that's the last voice they hear generally. You know what he's saying, and hey, it looks like water stage at Port Vincent's going to be at 12. Well, I'm just using an analogy. And so I'm just wondering how detailed they're doing on the state level.
Yep. Okay. Just to circle back and to summarize, what we have here is 4 proposed ideas to utilize the leftover funding from our regional capacity building grant, where we're given $800,000 a year. And so looking at our Amite River Basin Master Plan and looking at implementing the master plan, not studying the master plan, implementing it. These are 4 things that we can do for free to implement part of the master plan. You mentioned about grant management training. Okay, so the importance of that is, getting grants is relatively easy, okay? If you have a need and you have a funding program that supports that need, they'll pretty much give you the grant, the funding for it. But there's no money in the bank. It's reimbursement. Some of it requires match, a match amount. But my point is the importance of that is you had a concept and a reason for getting that grant. But the magic and the deficit in administrations and parishes that are in charge of implementing that is taking it from concept to completion and all of those steps in between. And maybe you're not the guy that's going to do it, but it would behoove you to know enough about the process and what is expected when other people you sign up for with a contract that say they're going to do it, that they're actually doing it right and what you can expect. I find that's a big gap. The other thing is model accessibility. All these models, we have dealt with this ourselves. with these projects that we're dealing with. Whose model, what model, where's it at, who's got it, can we borrow it? When we borrow it, who has rights? When these models were paid for and funded, they were paid for and funded using public funds. And I think we need a central clearinghouse where we can have these models available and keep up with them and take them to the next level for the local leaders of the parishes that come on board. Whether administrations changes or not, it should be ease of accessibility where you don't have to go and hire a stellar engineering company to tell you how and where to do that, and end up having to reinvent that wheel again when you actually had the model. I'm speaking from experience. So I think that's important for us. Another thing is we have all these LWI Region 9 watershed projects. Who knows where these projects are? What's the status of all these projects? Paul, you said $365 million of projects in Region 9. If you look at that list, that summary list, there's a bunch of projects. Some of those that are, say, in different parishes, whether it's East Feliciana, St. Helena, St. James, Iberville, wherever, those administrations, those people in charge there may not know the process, and they may be stuck. And maybe we need to reach out to those people and see where they're at, where your project at, and if they're stuck, help them. We need to, as Region 9, Amite River Basin, we need to be in a position to help these people get unstuck where we can move forward with that. I think that's important rather than, some people may be embarrassed, because they don't know what to do or they're afraid to say it. We maybe be a little bit more proactive and a little bit more forthcoming with working with our parishes more directly and the leaders of the parishes, and not just assume that everything's okay.
Be happy to work with any of them you wish.
Say it again?
I'd be happy to work with any of them that you wish.
I mean, do y'all think that's a good idea? I mean, go ahead, Mr. Lonergan.
I think you mentioned that early on about the parish coming on board and participate. Encourage them to do so, but you have meetings with, so then why do you need to say that earlier? Moving that direction, I think will be okay. Most importantly is we as the controlling board, you need to ask a good question. The program that you're going to put in place, you guys are going to operate it, but we're going to own it. It's incumbent upon us, because of the many parishes involved, you're going to operate the system. We're going to pay for you. We're going to own the system program. All right?
That's right.
No? He's going to own the program and we're going to pay for it?
We got to do some more work here.
Yeah, we're gonna revisit that. Like I said, as a collective, we're gonna look at that and put our minds together. Okay, for the best deal for our region.
Right.
This is not just parish. This is region.
No.
Okay.
Parishes are involved.
Commissioner Knight, LDOTD.
I love the idea of what you're getting at. Emulating what SOCA has done for Central across this basin would be a fantastic thing. One word of caution is, though, USGS is having sustain issues. That is a big problem with their gauge network right now. So having a good conversation with them and figuring out where they are in terms of what they can support that we don't have to worry about paying for is a very good conversation to have. I think the LWI gauges, they're out there. They're just not up to USGS standards, so some of that data is not being presented, but the data is there. Now, a lot of that is just strictly state, but that is very useful information. The gauges within the Amite, we are blessed with a lot of gauges in the Amite basin. We are not the typical basin. So with that, one of the things that you might want to look out, and I'd be really would like to hear as you come talk to us next time, is which ones have stage, which ones have discharge, which ones rain. The rain in particular is really what's helpful for the project. So those would be very good tools. And course, those publicly available models that were built by LWI, those 5, 10, 25, 50, 100-year, 500-year rain events that they ran out could be good tools to interpolate where those intermediary events do. I look forward to seeing what you guys have.
All right.
Good input, thank you. You know, like we talked about earlier, data is important, and when there's no data, there's an assumption that is made. And then you get output data. And then as a local leader, you're left with that output data, which is called a conclusion or projection, and nobody's supposed to question it because the model said so. But, you know, in the beginning, assumptions were made. But anyway, any other questions? Thank you, Garvin.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Good, healthy discussions. Next item, referring back to our agenda, is under old business, and that's bullet number 2, and that's update on the Comite River Diversion Canal Project. Paul, I think you covered it well, but is there something you wanted to highlight and talk? I mean, we had some recent meetings, a little movement, and I've seen some different changes in names and who we're working with.
With respect to Comite River Diversion Canal, I don't think there's anything to add to the report other than a new colonel has been installed, relatively new colonel who's been installed, and he's probably demonstrated the most energy towards completing this project, and that at least I've personally observed in a long time. So there's a good cultural shift at the New Orleans district and focus on this particular project. I know Mr. Marino didn't get to hear my proposal, but I mean my report. But if there's anything outstanding, a particular note that comes to mind with respect to Comite, I defer the floor to you.
No, not really. From DOTD's point of view, it's on schedule, such as it is. There haven't been any hiccups lately, which is a welcome change.
That's all there is to report on Comite.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. All right. Under new business, we have a contract renewal. It's our contract with Reddit Consulting. And Ms. Tony, can you or Paul, can you explain a little bit about this particular contract renewal?
Okay, Chris Lemoyne is Redshift Consulting, and he's our IT person that's been working with us for over 20 years, and it's just time to renew his contract.
Okay, this is an action item. Do I have any discussion on this? Any public comment? All right, I'll entertain a motion to pass. Commissioner Bailey, and a second by Commissioner Dufresne. Any opposition? Hearing none. Motion passes. All right, we have, the next item is a proclamation. And the proclamation is declaring the month of March as Flood Awareness Month. And for those of you that are not aware, just by making that proclamation, you get CRS points. So take that back to your parish and in front of your council. And yes. Anyway. So it's a resolution to pass this and recognize this as Flood Awareness Month, March 2026. Do we need to read the resolution? Okay. Do I have a motion? Any discussion? I have a motion by Commissioner Rayford, second by Commissioner Harris. Any opposition? Okay, motion passes. All right, at the beginning of our meeting, I'd asked everyone if we had... Oh. Thank you, legal counsel. Mr. Bankston, can you talk about the item that we added to our resolution?
Let me see the language again. At the request of the division, item number 5 of the request for concurrence in real estate closing for this project, that the commission is committed to cover all costs above the available state funds in the form of a board resolution, and this resolution needs to state that the Amite River Basin Commission will cover all costs above available state funds and does not require all funds that does not require P5 funding authority. And I'll prepare a formal resolution in reference to that, but that is the tenor of the request from the division that we just received.
Any comments? Commissioner Quitmore.
Paul, we have this budgeted and we have the funds secured.
We do.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Any public comment?
Any public comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to acknowledge and pass this resolution. Commissioner Rayford,
I just like to make a comment, that's all.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make sure that the public is aware that it's taken a while, but I think we're really moving to the direction that we need to be. We do have the actual project for the model that was submitted yesterday, the OCD for the Amite River, the Bayou Manchac and the Wards Creek realignment project. This is part of the LWI project. We had our meeting yesterday. It takes a while, as you probably all know, dealing with models and making sure it gives you what you need to have so you can be in compliance. But based on all the information we have submitted it. I've also submitted it to OCD at our meeting yesterday at noon, and we will be forwarded on to DOTD to try to get this stuff underway, so get the evaluation and move forward. I was told by one of the committee members that it'll probably take 2 weeks the max to do it. So this is a big issue for East Baton Rouge Parish. It's a big project. It also has some major benefits for Ascension and Everville Parish, and even parts of Livingston Parish, what we're going to be dealing with. So I'm excited about it. I wish it wouldn't have taken as long, but when you got multiple groups and multiple people trying to get into the game, sometimes it's not always that simple. But we are moving forward with this, and certainly I will be glad when the next status report comes in that they will put on there and say we are moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, and that was in regards to one of our regional transformative projects, and that's the Bayou Manchac Channel Restoration and Wards Creek Realignment Project. Been a long time coming. That's $30 million. Got 4 parishes have signed an intergovernmental agreement and vowed their support for this all-important project.
In one city.
So do I have a motion on? So we have a motion and a second on our resolution to pass to send to the facility planning and control that we have the funds to cover any cost above and beyond what they have budgeted for this project, which I'm pretty sure we're not going to go above the budget, but, you know. Okay, Commissioner Quitmore? Okay, yes. Any discussion? No, no discussion? Oh. Okay, yeah. So we have a motion and a second, and any opposition to this motion? Okay. And so this resolution passes. Thank you. All right. Public comments? Anybody register for public comments? Okay, hearing no public comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I got a motion by Commissioner Quintmaw and a second by Commissioner Roy Smith. Thank y'all.